Cool story. Random accidental race day. For those of you playing along at home, I started this journey, not that long ago, only a couple of years ago. And the first thing I ever did it was came out of battling depression and a few other things. Somebody had actually sort of said to me, just come along and just do an event. Have you ever heard of this thing called obstacle course racing? And I hadn't. And she was like, come along and do this. And I'm like, okay. So I went along and did this event. It was like a 6K event. It was called the Holt Bolt. It was the first event I've ever done. And this is somebody who couldn't even run a kilometer. Never lifted before, never exercised, nothing at all. Just never did any of that shit. And I went along, I loved it. I loved every second of it. And before I knew it, I was doing Spartans and going all over the world doing Spartans. So wow, I loved the time. Anyway, it was really cool, really interesting. And the Hot Bolt's always been fairly cool. They're always like small. They're always very focused on sort of like getting people introduced to be very beginner friendly. So obstacles are challenging, but they're not hard. They're hard but not challenging kind of thing. I don't know. They're always just accessible. It's always only a fairly short distance, so it's very easy to do, very affordable, very cheap to get into. Anyway, long story short, the guy that runs it does a lot of work with kids, does with schools and things like that, and he always does a theme for his adult ones. He's decided that he's no longer going to do the adult races anymore. He's going to focus just purely on the kids and getting the kids fitness ones. But he's decided to do one last adult race with the theme of happily ever after. So a few people that I usually run with, and I've also introduced to the mad sport of OCR, have decided that we're going to do it together. So I got a phone call yesterday saying, it's on tomorrow morning, you're in. And I'm like, I'm going to work. And they're like, no, you're coming to do it anyway. I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm going to work this afternoon. But I have now a tiara to do my happily ever after run. So it's just going to be a nice, fun obstacle course race day. It's probably going to be lots of mud because it was been raining all night last night. It's for me, it's important because this is the roots for me. This is how it all started for me. This is my beginning in my fitness journey and sporting and things like that. So really cool, really exciting for me to actually give this a go and just be here for the community at the end as a last hurrah for this one. So yeah, looking forward to it. Anyway, I'm gonna go because my race wave is going very shortly. It's all very badly timed. So have fun. We'll see you on the other side. So that has to be one of the most funnest, coolest, awesome, and that sun's actually really kind of bright, obstacle races ever. It's actually really kind of gutting that that's the last one. It really kind of is. It's such a shame. So as I sort of was saying before at the start, this race series, the Holt Bolt series for me, held a really special place for me because it was a point in my life which was really, really messy. I mentally had fallen apart. My life had fallen apart around me. And I was on a really self-destructive path, and it was only through someone actually sort of just throwing something different out there and just literally dragging my ass to one of the earlier ones of the Holt Bolts that I actually got out of that hole. And it was as I said, it was a pretty ugly, messy place I was in. A really scary place now I sort of think about it. And so yeah, this event was sort of the start of a journey for me to actually get some, to make myself a better person, to have a better part of my life. And I owe a lot to this event, this series. It was, as I said, I'm not very good at OCR, I'm not very good at triathlon, I'm not very good at anything, but it helped ignite a fire in me that actually meant that I really wanted to be passionate about doing something again and making a difference and changing my life. So yeah, it was really exciting. It was a lot of fun today. It was it was only a 6K. It was a 6K course. It was a fair bit of mud, some fun obstacles, some new ones, some old ones, and just an all-round a bit of fun, a bit of a laugh. Yeah, so I loved every second of it. It was great.
And yeah, there needs to be more fun events like this. Don't get me wrong, I love my Spartans, but you know, fun events like this are also really important for people who want to get accessible, like, and to find these kind of events and find these new lifestyles accessible. Because an event like this one is for people like, you know, when I did it for the first time, I was definitely not fit. I couldn't run 500 meters. You know, I couldn't lift anything, but I found it fun. It was different. It was something unusual, and it was because it was so accessible that made me want to go, okay, maybe I can do bigger and better things in the future. So I hope that, you know, as I said, it's a shame this event's actually, this is the last one of this one. I hope somebody else takes up the torch, or maybe we'll see this one come back in the future. But, you know, if you've ever thought about hosting one, maybe think about hosting one yourself. Like, you know, get it off the ground, because these kind of accessible events is what changes people's lives. I know it changed mine. It really fundamentally changed my life and turned my life around. So, anyway, guys, so that's been from the Holt Bolt, Happily Ever After. So we'll obstacle course race happily ever after. Thanks very much for joining me. You guys take care, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.